In this video, I'm going to be going over everything Season 2 Team Affinity related, including the fastest ways to be earning progress, how this season's of Team Affinity compares to last season, and also the best players to be choosing from each division. And if you guys do enjoy the video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. But let's go ahead and talk about Team Affinity. So Season 2 obviously is out now with Team Affinity, and I know everything within Team Affinity can be a little overwhelming in the beginning especially, so I hope this video just helps clear things up, gives you guys an easy path to move forward and to progress through Team Affinity. And the process for completing this season's Team Affinity will actually be very similar to last season. However, it should actually be easier since you will be earning Team Affinity points quicker, and you will be getting more points for completing some of the same things that you had to do in last season's Team Affinity. So similar to last season's Team Affinity, I would suggest starting off by doing the moments and then the showdown for all of the divisions. And then, this will help you start to unlock player or two from each of the divisions. And then you can work on the conquest map after that with the players you'll be earning. But each moment is now actually 1,500 Team Affinity points compared to last season where it was just 1,000. So that's a nice little boost, just a couple extra 1,000 Team Affinity points for completing the moments. And then, like I said, highly suggest then following that up with the showdown, knocking that out, and it's now 20,000 instead of 15,000 like it was last season. So again, a nice little boost in Team Affinity points for completing the same things like you had to complete last Team Affinity season. And by this point, you will have a couple players then from each of the divisions as you finish moments and showdown. So what you want to do then is hop into Conquest, use those players to knock out some of the missions, which we'll get to in a second, and complete the Conquest map, which is now actually 30,000 Team Affinity points, whereas last season it was 25,000. So an extra 5,000 for both Conquest and Showdown. In total, 10,000 extra Team Affinity points just from those two things is a huge boost and a huge help from last season. So then once you finish the moments and the showdown and you're working on Conquest or playing in other games, make sure you guys are prioritizing these missions. They're huge, super important for the Team Affinity progress. And there are some changes which we're going to go over right now, specifically with the team build. So it is the same amount of points you'll be getting, 5,000 Team Affinity points per team build mission. However, you guys will notice it's 2,000 PXP this time around, whereas last season it was 2,500. So that's just a tiny little change, but that's going to be, I don't know, that's going to help a ton. Just less PXP, same amount of rewards as last season there. And then the captain missions are the same, I think. I think the same amount of rewards, pretty much the same mission goals for the captain rewards. And then we have the new Future Star missions, which are, just racking up 200 or 500 PXP, depending on whether it's a pitcher or hitter. And then same amount of rewards for some of those other missions that we had last season, the 3,500. And then something that's new are the incognito bosses missions. And this is really important to keep in mind just because it's pretty simple to complete. All you need to do is 1,000 PXP with these incognito bosses, and it is repeatable. And you're going to get 5,000 points for doing this. And like I said, it is repeatable. So I would recommend stacking your lineup with these bosses once you start unlocking them. And last Team Affinity season, we didn't get any mission PXP for the charisma bosses, which I always thought was a little bit strange at the time, but now they have added in this mission goal with the incognito bosses, and I would highly recommend stacking your lineup once you start to unlock those. And then once you knock out the Conquest maps, I would highly suggest mini seasons, and there are important changes to note. I think the same amount of vouchers will get you the same amount of Team Affinity points. However, make sure you guys are going in and clicking Team Affinity Season 2 when you go in the mini season. That's something that is super important. You don't want to accidentally go into Season 1 mini season, so keep that in mind. But the thing to note here is you will now be earning one voucher for every 5 mini seasons games now, which is a big change. Something to keep in mind. Make sure you guys are keeping that in mind as you work through this. But then also you will be earning some vouchers as you're progressing, making the playoffs, winning the championship, and all of that stuff as well. So just a nice little added bonus with the 1 voucher for every 5 wins, and every voucher will also get you 4,000 points, Team Affinity points. So keep that in mind as you're working through this. So I think the new voucher thing will make mini seasons even more desirable of a grind, more rewarding as well. So that's nice. And then finally, we have the exchanges, and they actually gave us a lot more options for exchanges, including a lot of cheaper ones. In regards to these exchanges, I would only do these if you either have a ton of players saved up in your inventory and you don't mind putting, into the exchange, or if you just have a ton of stubs laying around, and you can get all the cards you want, but then also use some of those stubs for these exchanges. That's fine. And I would say you don't really need to have a specific time when to do these exchanges. You could do them right away to unlock some of those extra players, or you can wait until the end, see how much you need, and then do the exchanges. Up to you. Also, there's March to October. I don't personally do March to October, and I don't even think it's worth it this time around in Team Affinity for this season, just because it seems really easy, a lot easier this season to be earning points. So don't need to really worry about March to October. That's up to you guys, though. So as you guys know, when you progress through Team Affinity, you will be getting some pretty good 97 overall bosses too. And I want to go over all of, each of the divisions, which ones you want to focus on picking first and second. Yes, you do get all of them, but which ones you want to focus on, which the ones I think are the best. And we're going to start off here with the AL East, and we're going to go ahead and recommend Eddie Murray here, switch hitter. That's very important to keep in mind. Not a quick guy, obviously, as you guys can see. First base DH kind of guy, but first base option, and just solid hitting stats all around. Just a solid card, and like I said, switch hitter is important to keep in mind. The other option is a pitching option, and it is Nestor Cortez here. Very good pitch mix, good hit per 9, good stamina, good BB9. Just a solid card all around. A lefty option too, in case any of you guys want that lefty starting pitcher. I know for a while we were in need of some of those. I think we've gotten quite a bit more though. But moving on to the NL East, and I don't know. I think I'm going to go and recommend Jacob deGrom. Not the greatest deGrom card. Like, there have been plenty other of really good Jacob deGrom cards, but I think he's probably the first option I would choose out of this one. As you guys know, Jacob deGrom usually has that outlier, and this card is no different. Has that outlier on the 4-seam fastball. So I would highly recommend Jacob deGrom. I feel like not the greatest division right there, but nonetheless, Jacob deGrom is my first choice there. And then AL Central, Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray is very solid, just a solid card. Very good pitch mix like some of these other pitchers I'm going to be recommending. He has that sinker, he has that cutter, slider combination with that 4-seam fastball. Good hit per 9, solid BB9. Just a solid card. Can't go wrong with Sonny Gray here. And then there's actually some solid position player options here. The middle 3 are really, really solid. Just good high contact, high speed kind of guys there. Can't really go wrong with them. They're just solid players, and that's a lot of these cards are just really solid. They might not make your God squad by the end of the season, but these are going to be really good cards to use. Then moving on to the NL Central, weaker division in my opinion, but I maybe would just recommend Ernie Banks because he's a good all-around kind of guy. Shortstop. Not a high-speed guy. That's my question mark with him. Not great there, but hitting stats-wise, very balanced. And then we got Adam Dunn is just another option. Not a high-speed guy, but really good hitting stats there. You can take a look at Adam Dunn if you want, but not a huge fan of the NL Central cards, just my opinion. But am I a fan of the AL West? Because this card alone probably makes it. Mike Napoli is stacked out and juiced out right here. Catching first base, amazing hitting stats, everything 107 or higher, 125 clutch, 42 speed, is not great, but who even cares at this point because this card is so good? He could even DH for you. If you don't want him catching, you don't want him in the field, put him at DH. That might be the best card there is in all of Team Affinity here. And then Chili Davis, not a bad switch hitting kind of option, great hitting stats. And then also Lance McCullers Jr. is a phenomenal option here. Great pitch mix. Very good hit per 9. A little low on the BB9, but that's fine because Lance McCullers Jr. cards, I think, just always play well. Always has that really good pitch mix. And then obviously that high BB9 or that high hit per 9 helps a lot. So that's probably my favorite division, but I would say Napoli first, and then maybe Lance McCullers, and then Chili Davis. Very good division. Then moving on to the final division and the NL West. Pretty good options here as well. Matt Cain, I might go with first, either him or the next one I'm going to mention. But once again, I feel like a broken record. Very good pitch mix. A little lower on the hit per 9, but that's fine because I think Matt Cain will be a solid card. And then you got Max Muncy here. Just a really good hitting card. 62 speed is fine. Good enough. First base, second base, third base, left field. So plenty of options there as far as positions go. But especially if you're playing against the CPU on lower difficulties like Conquest, whatever, that's going to be a very good card. Highly recommend Muncy or Matt Cain there. So I would highly recommend getting on Team Affinity as soon as possible, grinding it out so you're not saving it for the final couple days. And like we said in the video, Moments and Showdown will get you a couple of those players. Then you can start working on the Conquest map. And then the updated missions should help a lot as you work through Conquest and finish that. Then move on to mini seasons. And you're going to get that voucher for every 5 games, which is a huge bonus. Very nice. And then you can mix in some exchanges. And now exchanges are actually affordable. It might actually be worth it, especially if you have tons of stubs just laying around, tons of cards laying around, whatever it is. So lots of ways to be progressing in Team Affinity this season, which is really nice. And let me know all your guys' thoughts about this season's Team Affinity, how you like it compared to last season. But yeah, hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys did, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all videos. I do appreciate all of you guys for sticking around to the end and watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.